Hello, welcome to Physics 2212 Lab 1 Charge Tapes by Thomas Reed. In this experiment, we know that ordinary objects are rubbed, pulled apart, or touched by other objects that they can acquire an excess of negative charge or a deficiency of negative charge. This experiment will aim to show the estimate of the amount of excess charge on a piece of clear tape. This interaction will then be simulated using GlowScript code. Our core concepts for this experiment are Coulomb's law, Newton's second law, and the gravitational force equation, which are all pictured to the right. And for our results, we know that the U-tapes repel each other due to same charge. The charge on tape was found to be 2.287 times 10 to the negative 8th coulombs, and the magnitude of our excess charge was found to be 9.14 times 10 to the 10th coulomb. Some key assumptions are that we are ignoring air resistance on a moving object, treating a long tape as though it were a point charge with all the charge concentrated at the center of the long tape, and assuming that each U-tape that was made had the same amount of charge, evenly distributed along the length of the tape. For basic observations and conclusions, you can see the two U-tapes repel each other, U-tape and hand, which is a neutral object, attracted, U-tape 1 and the pen attracted, and the pen was negatively charged due to rubbing on clothing first. The suspended U-tape and U-tape 2 repelled, U-tape 1 and a book attracted. Therefore, it can be concluded that the tape is positively charged. For data and measurements, the length of the U-tape was 0.21 meters, our tape width was 0.02 meters, and the mass of the U-tape was 0.0003 kilograms. The distance between A and B, as you can see in figure 4, was 0.04 meters. And then we had to calculate the gravitational force, which was used to mass times the gravitational pull, as you can see there. The net force for this experiment was in the negative y direction. And then for a calculation of the charge on tape, use the equation to the right by isolating Q, which is the charge on tape, which was found to be the number that was presented earlier. Further calculating, we knew that the excess electrons, in order to calculate this, we calculated the charge, which is the charge of the tape divided by the charge of an electron, and we found it to be 9.14 times 10 to the 10th excess electrons. And then to find the number of atoms, we divided the surface area of an atom divided by the surface area of the tape. In order to do this, we multiplied length times width, and the number of atoms was found to be 4.2 times 10 to the 17th atoms. And then the ratio was found by simply dividing the number of electrons by the number of atoms to be 2.176 times 10 to the negative 7th electrons per atom. For our discussion questions, for the first what-if question, if the charges were opposite, the observations would not change. The two U-tapes would now have a negative charge. However, these negatively charged objects would still have the same repelling force on each other as if they were positive. And for our why question, why is it important to handle the charged tapes as little as possible? This is important because when you touch something, the charges can be transferred between objects. So if you touch the tape, it would lose the charge, therefore decreasing the reliability of the experiment because it wouldn't have the charge that we actually wanted to have. Well, I think that the calculations I made in this experiment were good. There are some possible sources of error. These could be inaccurate measurements of the tape, excessive hand contact while not meaning to during the experiment with the charged tape, and the code that I made was running, but it wasn't matching up with my written calculations, and I wasn't able to find what I was doing wrong. So there was some kind of coding error that didn't allow my hand calculations to match up with my coding numbers. And there could also have been possible rounding errors during calculations. This is the picture that resulted from my GlowScript code, and the code that was ran is linked in the description of this video. Thank you, and bye.